Are we powerless to tackle bankers, or is it time to rip it up and start again? Rise up! Stacey? And that's what we're talking about when we're talking about the global banks. They're dead. They're corpses. No amount of aerosol trying to make the stink go away is going to change this.
We have to go through this every quarter when they say, oh, we just found another $1 trillion in debt, more austerity measures, more bonuses, more salaries. When are we going to get smart and wake up and figure out that these guys all need to be fired? Try.
Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds. The destroyer of worlds.
Specifically, the committee decided to purchase additional agency mortgage-backed securities, or MBS, at a pace of $40 billion per month.
The destroyer of worlds.
And if we do not see substantial improvement in the outlook for the labor market, we will continue the MBS purchase program, undertake additional asset purchases, and employ our policy tools as appropriate until we do.
The crisis arrived because the illusion that wealth and prosperity would last forever has ended. Since it was based on debt and a pretense that debt can be papered over by an out-of-control fiat monetary system, it was doomed to fail.
Well, in order for all of these banks to make all of the bets they make, they have to have something behind it. Not a lot relative to the size of the bets they make and the derivatives positions they take, but certainly something. And that something is our money.
We have a global financial system where just a 0.4% move could take down the whole house of cards.
That we're told is virtually bankrupt, our country. That we have to charge our children £9,000 a year to go to university. That we're laying off hundreds of thousands of people in the public sector because we can't pay their bills. We're told over and over again by the same government that is spending £40,000 a night on hotels for pilots. £40,000 a night for hotels for pilots to bomb someone else's country when our pensioners in the winter time are going shivering below.
To financial institutions in Europe and other countries.
Which ones?
I don't know.
$500 billion and you don't know who got the money?
The loans go to the central banks, and they then put them out to their institutions to try to bring down short-term interest rates and dollar market.
This is no dream. This is really happening.
My lords, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your patience in queuing for this meeting. My apologies for that. The House authorities are evidently anxious about the number of people who've turned up tonight. We had no idea there were this many people interested in economics, and it's very, very heartening that so many of you are. Now, I'm normally, if I say so myself, the main speaker at public meetings, but now, this evening, I'm not even the warm-up act, because the main speaker needs no warm-up act at all.
I understand the point of view which suggests that somehow London is a very lightly regulated market, and that's why all this fraud and these misdemeanors take place here.
Because that's the reality of the situation. Okay, stop peddling that lie.
Okay,
stop peddling that lie.
Max.
There's deregulation in London. There's no regulation. You can rehypothecate to infinity in London. Stop telling lies.
Max Keiser, I'll give you your say.
He is the most watched television presenter in the world, and that's quite a big thing to say. But as he's working for Chinese TV, Russian TV, Press TV, and God knows how many other TVs, it's little wonder. And the reason that he is because he's in such demand, not only because he's extremely good as a TV presenter, but because he knows more about economics than the people who are running the economy. But Max Keiser believes that the trouble's going to get much, much worse, and that it will not be confined to these islands, not be confined to this continent, but will be a at least bicontinental phenomenon, and that Britain, unfortunately placed in the middle of both, between both these continents, metaphorically speaking, politically and economically speaking, will suffer more than most. Please welcome the legend that is Max Keiser.
Thank you so much for coming out. How's the sound? Pretty good? You can hear in the back? Yeah. All right, great. Well, it's great to be in this particular venue. I must admit, when I walked in, I couldn't help but think of that movie V for Vendetta. In case you missed it, it's quite an exhilarating film that stars Parliament in a most spectacular way toward the finish of that film. Of course, when I was coming up the staircase to come into the room, I heard a couple of comments. Of course, the same comment. I heard it 2, 3 times. Where's Stacy? Stacy is there. Over there she is. Yeah, okay. And politicians don't serve the public anymore. It's just something on the way to serve their banking masters. And we're seeing it here in the UK. Tony Blair being a prime example of that. We see it in the US as well with Bill Clinton and others. But I wanted to divide my talk this evening into basically 2 parts. And I thought I would try to piece together for you something interesting, taking a look at some of the political themes that are dominant here in Parliament, here in the UK. We know that there's a lot of brinkmanship going on right now between the UK and Germany. So we have Cameron is trying to work out a deal on the EU, and he's getting some pushback from Germany. And this has been going on for some time. There's a couple of high-level meetings coming up in the near future. So the question is, who is going to win this battle between Germany and the UK? Although it's not really presented as such, it's more of the EU versus the UK, whether the UK wants to be in the EU and what are the benefits and what are the costs, etc. But it's really between Germany and the UK. It's clear that in Frankfurt there's a possibility now of them achieving some banking supremacy in Europe. And Cameron says he won't join this banking union. He wants to protect the City of London and keep its position as the top bank center in the world. Oops. Let's see. They just got downgraded. London, the City of London, is now number 2. Number 1 is New York City. Hong Kong is hot on their heels, and I think Frankfurt, of course, wants a big piece of that business. David Cameron, in his recent speech at the Lord Mayor's banquet, he's defending the city. He's promoting the city. Now, what David Cameron can't seem to see is how the rest of the world sees the City of London. What David Cameron fails to see is that the City of London is the laxest regulatory environment in the world. The AIG scandal, with the heart of the 2008 collapse, the Lehman Brothers collapse, the Bernie Madoff scandal, all had huge components, primary components, right here in the City of London. This is what David Cameron wants to protect. The LIBOR scandal, $300 trillion scandal. News coming about this on a daily basis. How traders in London gaming the system for ill-gotten gains, disrupting the system, causing huge financial dislocation. This is all through London. HSBC implicated in huge multi-hundred billion pound money laundering scandals involving Mexican drug cartels. This is what David Cameron wants to defend. Barclays Bank, involved in hundreds of billions of dollars worth of money laundering, market manipulation, drug cartel money, the energy market rigging, the price protection insurance mis-selling. The list goes on and on. Paul Moore, top regulator, former top regulator of HBOS in London. I had him on my show. He agreed that
he made the point that over 100 million have been thrust back into poverty because of this financial scandal that has its nexus in the city of London. And we decided, and Paul agreed, this is nothing less than a financial holocaust. Millions are dying. Millions are set to die. People are committing suicide. All for the sake of some banker bonuses to protect what David Cameron considers to be the jewel of the UK economy. Fraud, larceny, manipulation, market rigging, scandals, and not to mention his re-election coffers that put him in office. This goes all the way up to the Bank of England, caught in the LIBOR rigging scandal, is now caught in a collusion with the Treasury in trying to hide a $48 billion black hole of debt that's part of a $37 billion stolen from Osborne, from pensioners and insurers, as part of this coupon stealing, a smash and grab that you've been reading about, where Osborne just stole $37 billion from Treasury, claiming, oh, it's nothing. It's just an accounting error. It's just an accounting gimmick. We're going to use that to pay for what we wanted to pay for. Even though that money is due eventually, it's not unlike any other type of market manipulation where cash is taken in the present and the liabilities are left for a future day. And who pays for the liabilities in the future day? Well, look what's happening in Greece. Look what's happening all over Europe. Look what's happening all over the world. The austerity that's being imposed to bail out scamsters like Osborne and his scams. I was recently on a news program at the BBC, Daily Politics, and everyone agreed that, yes, the country is remarkably financially illiterate. So I put it to Andrew Neil. I said, well, if everyone agrees that the country is financially illiterate, why is George Osborne pushing a program to exchange workers' rights for shares in those companies? Isn't that exploitive? You just said the country doesn't know anything about stocks and shares, economics and finance. So you're going to have them give up their rights as workers in exchange for something that you admittedly say they have no knowledge about whatsoever? That's outrageous. And I haven't been back on that show. Now getting back to Germany and this fight that's going on between Germany and Britain, because of course one is they're vying for domination in the financial sphere, but of course Germany is over in the Eurozone, and the Eurozone has many problems. The peripheral countries are collapsing, as we all are aware of. And there's, of course, a daily strife in terms of whether or not these countries are going to be able to sustain themselves. But then again, the UK is the most indebted of the G20